Are some of Trump's cabinet picks in trouble? They are, and I will explain why. What's happening behind the scenes tonight? We had our first press conference with Caroline Leavitt. We have a reporter who was there talking about the mood in a room. All that, Senator Ron Johnson and more coming up on I'm Right. I think Donald Trump has some cabinet picks that are in trouble, that are in danger of not getting confirmed. And that's a talk we're about to have right now. We're about to talk about the why. And this will come to Pete Hegseth, and then it'll get to RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. But I feel for our new viewers and for those who need a refresher, we need to discuss the system first, what it is, because this will explain why we have all this maneuvering behind the scenes to stop these cabinet picks. What we have in this country right now is what I call the system. People will use different words for it. It doesn't matter what word you prefer. The cathedral, the regime, the swamp maybe even works. But what do all these things mean? What do these words mean? What it means is our country, as happens to many wealthy countries, over a long enough period of time, ceased being ruled, being led by patriots, flawed people, but patriots. That stopped. And now our country is only led by corrupt scumbags. They run our major institutions, the institutions that matter. And, the institutions should all be separate, of course. Ideally, you want, for our purposes right now, you want the government and really the defense industry. There needs to be some separation there. The government and the pharmaceutical industry. You can't have them joining forces. They need to be separate. You see, institutions need to be separate. But when you have a country that's led by evil people, they will look around eventually. They'll look at each other, the leaders of the institutions, and they'll say, hey, what if we just work together? We're competing here, but if we join forces and work together, we can get more money, we can get more power. Of course, the American people will be screwed, and the country itself will hurt, but none of that matters to us. We don't think about America. Let's work together. That's what we have in various ways across this country. You have the Central Intelligence Agency working with American media companies, working with the pharmaceutical industry. This general, he works for the military one day, defense contractors the next day. You have this huge system of looters, bank robbers, who've figured out they can rob the Bank of America. They can rob the Bank of America more easily if they simply work together. If they work together against us, they can line their pockets. That is the system. That is what we have now. And so I need to explain what you're seeing in the United States Senate and why you're seeing it. Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth came out, got confirmed, sounded great first day on the job.
Fully support on removing DEI inside the Pentagon, reinstating troops who were pushed out because of COVID mandates, Iron Dome for America. This is happening quickly. And as the Secretary of Defense, it's an honor to salute smartly, as I did as a junior officer and now as the Secretary of Defense, to ensure these orders are complied with rapidly and quickly. Every moment that I'm here, I'm thinking about the guys and gals in Guam, in Germany, Fort Benning and Fort Bragg, on missile defense sites and aircraft carriers. Our job is lethality and readiness and warfighting. We're going to hold people accountable.
Sounds good, right? But why was it so close at all? J.D. Vance had to take the VP position of tiebreaker, had to go down to the Senate and cast the tie-breaking vote. Pete Hegseth got in there by one vote. Why was it close? Well, let's talk about that. Let's focus on the Mitch McConnell angle. Yes, there's a Mitch McConnell versus Donald Trump angle you could certainly talk about, and we've talked about that in the past. Those two men hate each other, but we'll set that aside. Why in the world would Mitch McConnell, a guy who happily voted for most of Joe Biden's cabinet picks, why would he vote for Pete Hegseth? Was it the scandal? Well, you know what? Pause on that for a moment. Let's talk about the scandal. Because right before the confirmation vote, there was all of a sudden a brand new scandal about Pete Hegseth. His brother's uncle's dog's sister said Pete was a frightening person. And it ran in the Wall Street Journal. Why did it run in the Wall Street Journal? Well, because Republican Senator Tom Tillis, he's the one who encouraged this witness to throw baseless accusations into the Wall Street Journal. He had her do that because Tom Tillis wanted not only to vote against Pete Hegseth, he wanted other senators to vote against Pete Hegseth. Why did Mitch McConnell vote against Pete Hegseth? Why did these things happen? Was it the salacious accusations? Well, that doesn't make any sense because even a fifth grader can read the accusations and wait a minute, none of this is real. This is heard from a guy who heard from a guy. None of it's legit. You can't vote against someone. Anyone who reads into it knows it's not the accusations. So why would Mitch McConnell vote against it? Why would Lisa Murkowski vote against it? Why did Tom Tillis try to stop Pete Hegseth? If it's not the accusations, why? Well, let's talk about the system again, shall we? What is the purpose of the system? What are they there to do? They are there to loot the treasury of the United States of America. That's what all our institutions now, that's what all of their aims are. Join together, loot the treasury. That's the idea. Do you have any earthly idea how much money is spent on defense in this country? It is a staggering amount of money. But who does that money get spent on? Well, of course, some of it goes to the military itself. A lot of it goes to the defense contractors who design and produce large numbers of munitions and weapon systems and things like that. Now, what do they do with all that money in the defense industry? They get all this money coming from the government. Well, they want to do the evil thing and ensure that no matter what, more and more and more money comes their way, whether or not they need it. So they, in turn, spend gigantic sums of money on politicians. Campaign donations, if you will. Large campaign donations to Republican senators. So Republican senators are highly, highly invested, just like Democrat senators are highly invested in keeping the scam going. Hey guys, we're in the bank vault. We've got all the safe deposit boxes open. We've got all this money in the bags. Don't stop us. Keep it going. My goodness. Highly invested. We're talking not millions, not even billions, trillions of dollars are at stake if Pete Hegseth gets in there and does what he has already threatened to do, and that's break up the corrupt cabal of the military-industrial complex in this country. Why did senators try to torpedo his nomination? It has nothing to do with some booze or some chicks. It has everything to do with money. The robbers are in the bank. They are looting the treasury. And the thought that that might change, well, it meant Pete barely got in. And that brings me to the point of my conversation here. I'm starting to get very, very, very concerned about the Tulsi Gabbard types, the RFK Jr. types. I'm even starting to hear senators talk about it. Here was Kennedy.
If a nominee acts like a complete meathead or starts screaming like he or she's part of a prison riot, you know, people are going to say, whoa, we need to take a second look. But short of that, I think most, if not all, will be confirmed. The one who's most on the bubble, as you know as well as I do, is Tulsi Gabbard.
On the bubble, huh? Lindsey Graham talked about that.
Do you trust Tulsi Gabbard with the nation's most closely held secret, Senator?
I tend to vote for almost everybody at both parties, but I want to see how the hearing goes. Why did you go to Syria? What did you do regarding Assad? Why do you think Edward Snowden should be hailed as a hero. I certainly don't. We'll see how the hearing goes. But in her favor, Richard Burr is going to introduce her, and he's one of my dearest friends. So we'll see.
Senator, can you say right now, are you a yes on Tulsi Gabbard?
I'm going to see how the hearing goes. I'm inclined to be yes on everybody. But there's some questions she will be asked that I want to hear the answers to.
So you're a we'll see, not a yes.
We'll see.
Rumor has it that Mitch McConnell is a no, and so is Lindsey Graham as of this moment. Why? Is it because Tulsi went to Syria? Is it because she wants Edward Snowden out? Why are they potentially going to torpedo RFK as well? Is it because he doesn't like the vaccine or whatnot? Well, we just talked about Pete. The trillions at stake with the military-industrial complex. How much money is at stake with the pharmaceutical industry? How much money and power are at stake in the intelligence institutions of this country? I'm worried. I warned you some time ago that the GOP Senate was going to be a problem, and I'm officially worried, and I think they're going to be a problem. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I'm right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.